Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie, television news, theories, and more. Today, while we continue our conversation about the Snyder Cut, we will be answering to the best of our ability a question that has been asked on multiple occasions by multiple people in the comments, including myself, which is, what does the Snyder Cut release mean for the future of the DC universe, the DCEU, and DC as a company? Now, this is a very complicated question, almost a loaded question that doesn't have a direct answer just yet. But there are a few theories out there, so I'm going to cover a few of them which I think are the most likely possibilities. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell if you love to stay up to date on all this major movie news, theories, breakdowns, and explanations. So, based off of what I've read and what I've seen, I've really gotten this into three different possible categories where the future of DC and how it's going to be affected by the Snyder Cut will fall into place. So, I'm going to cover all three of these theories, but the third one is what I think will probably end up happening. But, for starters, the first theory, I think that the Snyder Cut could replace Joss Whedon's Justice League. Now, this will take some finagling, some explaining, and it isn't a very clean solution. But DC hasn't really been a company of clean solutions and clean fixes. They just kind of go ahead and do whatever they want to. So it wouldn't be out of their repertoire or out of something that they've already done before for them to just go ahead and pick up the Snyder Cut and drop it on top of Joss Whedon's and say, hey, there you go, you liked this one more. Now, that's a complete fan service, and I don't think DC at any time has actually thought to themselves, wow, people really seem to like the direction that this one was headed way more than Joss Whedon's, and we should have seen that before time. But the reality of it is, based off just the trailers that we've seen, the explanations we've gotten from not only Zack Snyder, but also the actors and actresses who have been involved in the film, they've all talked about Zack's vision, about how good of a movie this was going to be, and how excited they are for us to all see what was happening behind the scenes before Joss Whedon's movie even came out. Now, like I said, this does leave a little bit of a messy line of where does it fit in, how do they explain it, what is the front for DC to come out and say, this is the new official canon. And of course there's DC Fandom, where all of this can be explained, which they're planning on having this year, and it was a fantastic event from last year. So there are opportunities and room for them to go ahead and explain, look, we made a mistake, we're going to replace the canon with Zack Snyder. So it was a poor judgment call, and everybody, including the actors, including the movies that we've done around it, have that continuity with this edition. And that's something that is very, very noticeable from what's going on in everything across these trailers. The inclusion of Batman vs. Superman, the inclusion of Joker from Suicide Squad, the inclusion of quotes and lines from Man of Steel, all of these different aspects that will be in the Snyder Cut a lot more relevantly, a lot more clearly, and will have that component of continuity that we've been missing. Which is why the reality of it is, this would be a better suited movie to fit the canon than Joss Whedon's. It has that continuity, it has those characters, it has those tying traits to movies in the past, and it's possible it even has tying traits to movies in the future that come out after Justice League that will give us that kind of full 360-degree view and will make it have the one biggest missing trait that DC has had in their movies, and that is the continuity, the connecting factors, and everything making sense. And that brings me to the next point of what could happen with the DC universe moving forward from the release of the Snyder Cut, and it could be a multiverse thing. Now, this was explained extremely well to us by Jim Lee himself during DC Fandom in 2020, where they talked about how the multiverse in the DC universe works. How there are infinite different multiverses with different multiple outcomes, and they're lined up across each other, and there are different variations of every character in every single way possible, and it goes on infinitely. Now, it's possible that this could be one of those variations that they talked about, and it is just happening in a slightly different manner with slightly different characters, which would mean that this Superman, this Batman, this Wonder Woman are all actually different characters from a different multiverse world, and that's where it gets kind of messy. But the reason why I do think this has some merit and some possibility to it is because of the Flash movie, which has been spoken about and discussed in length as a multiverse film, as the film that will be connecting all of these different disconjointed parts of the DC universe in the middle in an hourglass shape, and then they'll fold back out, and everything is supposed to make sense after this Flash movie. It's already been reported that we're going to have Ben Affleck, we're going to have Michael Keaton, there's talks of Robert Pattinson's Batman making an appearance, we're hearing the Superman's coming back, we're hearing a lot of different characters are going to be making an appearance in this movie, but the 3 Batmans, possibly 2 Batmans, however that plays out alone, is a demonstration of the multiverse and how it's all going to come connecting together, which is where this DC movie could now be included again into the entirety of the DC universe. The Snyder Cut could simply link back up during the Flash movie, and if they played their cards really well, you could see the blue suit Superman, played by Henry Cavill, and the black suit Superman, played by Henry Cavill, come and meet each other on screen at one point, because if it's a different multiverse, they're technically 2 different characters, 2 different beings, and if a portal were to open up to the multiverse, then they could come and meet each other. Now, I do personally believe this is probably the least likely event that's going to happen. One, because it would take a lot of moving parts to make a lot of sense and to connect just right for DC to be able to pull it off and keep fans happy. And it seems a lot easier for them to just go ahead and say, hey, this is canon now, nobody like Joss Whedon's. And even though that's a little messier and probably not as finesse-driven, it probably would make more sense for DC at this time. They have so many different issues that they need to cover. Connecting this film to the main DC timeline probably isn't their top priority. And that brings us to the last possibility, and the one that I think is most likely, and that is nothing. This movie's going to come out, everybody's going to enjoy it, we're going to have a great time watching it, and that's going to be the end of it. We're going to move on. I do not believe that DC or Warner Brothers have a high intention of connecting the Snyder Cut to the DC universe. We've gotten what we were given, they've already moved forward with their plans, the Flash movie is going to connect all of the dots, and they don't need the Snyder Cut to be canon for any of that to make sense. Now, is that the best approach? Is that the one the fans want to hear? I don't necessarily think so, but that is more likely what is going to happen. They're using the Snyder Cut to push subscribers to HBO Max, where they're planning on releasing all of their other DC content and a lot of their other content for Warner Brothers. So they saw this as an opportunity to push traffic over to Warner Brothers, over to HBO Max, but not so much to attract people to the DC universe. It's actually been rumored that the president of Warner Brothers has talked about how he can't wait for the Snyder Cut to go away, to be finished, to never have to talk about it anymore, because it does disrupt the flow of the DC universe. It does disrupt the flow of the fans and of the faith he put into the directors and the decision that he made to switch it out. So I don't know, it doesn't sound like people are too thrilled about this over in the executive sides that the Zack Snyder movie even came out. So they came out with the best solution to give it to the fans because we wouldn't shut up about it, but at the same time, I do not see this actually connecting to the canon of the DC universe. This is going to be a what if, what could have been movie, and they're going to push subscribers over, and that's pretty much going to be all she wrote. Zack Snyder himself also has said he doesn't have any current projects moving forward with DC at the moment, although he would be open to it. But based off of everything that's kind of happened, the cult following he has, how Warner Brothers kind of lost control of the Snyder Cut because of the fans, I don't really see them bringing him back. But it would be really cool if they did. There are rumors about the MCU trying to pick up Zack Snyder, but again, those are probably just rumors for the moment. I don't also see that happening just yet. But there are a lot of fun, hopeful possibilities for the future for Zack Snyder and for us fans, including the actual release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max in March. It's going to be a wild ride, it's going to be exciting, and you guys made that happen. But let me know what you think about these theories. Which do you think is most likely? That they're going to replace it, that it's going to come in through the multiverse, or that nothing's really going to happen and we're just going to enjoy a really cool Snyder Cut release? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, thank you to everybody who watched to the very end of the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our news, theories, ending explained, and much more, all going live right here on Cosmic Culture.